What's going on, everybody? It is May 4th here in North Florida. We have temperatures on May 4th of 55 degrees. It is absolutely amazing. I didn't think I'd see it, but I'm seeing it. I'm thankful for it. I have the day off, and I'm taking advantage of the cool weather and day off. And we're going into at least one, if not more, really big swamp bayheads here on some public land that I've been wanting to go into for the last couple years. I just hadn't brought myself to do it because it is going to be a chore, because I'm wanting to get way back in there, and we're going to have to be macheteing our way in for, could be 50 yards, could be 100 yards, could be the whole time. I really don't know. I've just seen it on the map. It looks really good, and I really believe that when the pressure starts getting put on out here on the rest of the public land, these jokers, and jokers as in the mature deer, gonna be going into here. But I'm gonna bring y'all along with me to experience this, because I've been wanting to do this for the last couple years, and we're doing it today. So let's get after it. Another good thing about doing this today, we've been without rain for so long now, of really any magnitude, that the rain we had gotten last week, even though it was a lot in just a couple days, normally where I'm walking right now is about knee deep. So definitely a lot drier. Now granted, come hunting season, there's a good chance that it's going to be flooded back again, but this at least will give me a lot less water to have to deal with to get in here. Granted, also don't know what it's going to look like when I actually get in. Could be super flooded in that swamp. We're going to find out. Sure didn't take long for us to get in a mess. See how thick this stuff is here? Been whacking a trail back here behind me. And this is what we're heading into. I'm actually following like a little tunnel. When you crouch down, it's got some deer tracks in it heading right towards the swamp. But this place is brutally thick. But we are chopping our way towards that swamp, so we will be there eventually. See, when you crouch down, it's just open tunnels through here. Now when you stand up, just thick. One thing I keep doing is pulling up my Hunt Stand app just to make sure I'm staying in line to the closest point of this swamp where the trees really start, which tells me I need to keep rolling straight ahead. I've been following this deer trail, and I mean, there's just little fingers of trails just coming all through here. I'm telling y'all, this is a beast to get in here. I've gone maybe 50 yards in since I started whacking through all this stuff. I've got a great looking trail cutting through though. Little tip of advice, if you're gonna do something like this and make a trail into somewheres that you know people aren't going into because it's so thick to get there and such a hassle, don't make a big trail right at the entrance of your trail. And what I mean by that is, don't make a wide gap opening where you can just walk down a little fire break, peek over and see your trail you cut through. Try to just work your way in, crawling through, pushing through all the thicket. Wait till you get like 10 to 15 yards in, then start whacking your trail. Because anybody who may want to walk the edge of this and they see your trail you cut through, they can just follow it right on in here, no problem. But if you get just 10 yards in and then start whacking your trail, a lot less likely anybody's going to be able to see it. So even if they're looking for it, it'll still be hard for them to see, because it's just a nice wall, 10 to 15 yards of just thicket. So yeah, and don't put any marker tape up either. So let's get to whacking some more. Well, you can say I'm at least on the right trail. Got some pretty fresh deer poop here. I'm looking ahead of me as much as I can even though it's super thick in this thing, we're definitely getting closer to the tree line. And I'm praying that as soon as I get in that tree line, it opens up. That is my thought. But regardless, seeing this deer poop right here definitely helps me to be a little more confident in my direction that I'm going. It always sucks making the trail in, but coming out's a breeze because you got a nice trail. On public land, at least, doing stuff like this is what is the differentiator of those who are killing good bucks or deer in general, and those that are complaining that they ain't seeing nothing, and how lucky you are that you're killing stuff. You can call it what you want, but you gotta work for it. Well, we in here a good little ways now. Just sitting on a little, basically kind of like a tunnel going through. If you stand up, it's just thick, thick, and thick. But we're just making our way towards the swamp. We ain't even hit the main tree line yet. But hopefully, once we get in there, it'll be worth it in the realm of it won't be having to whack daggum tree limbs every step. We going in where the big boys like to hide. From what I was in, it's opened up a good bit. But I'm nowhere near as far in as I want to be. I mean, you can look back yonder this way. You can see where all the big mature trees stop. And that's where it gets to that super thick stuff. But we're going to keep trekking in. A little deeper as the trees stay pretty good for as far as I can see from here. Which isn't much, but from what the map shows, should be pretty mature trees the rest of the way. It's just wondering if it's going to stay kind of open like this, and this is what I consider kind of open for this type of terrain in here. But if I can find it like this, or even a little more open, would be great. Deeper in I go, we'll be on the money. I ended up turning my tracer on for my hunt stand app, because now that I'm out of the thicket, I can't follow my trail. So we'll be using that to figure out how to get back. And if that fails, we know which direction to go, but keep on trekking. There's a lot of people that wouldn't see the beauty in this, because it's to a lot of people just a thick, nasty mess. But this is, to me, this is beautiful in here. For this general region, at least, of this big swamp, I don't believe anybody's been in here. Not to this extent. We still got a ways to go. We're just going to keep walking. We got all day if we want. We're just going to keep going and see what this whole thing is really just made up the entirety of. But this right here of what it is, even though it's thick, getting up in a tree stand and up in a climber, or for saddle hunters like y'all like using, or whatever stand you want. I use a climber stand personally, but climber standing here, get about 30 feet up, and that's nothing. Can't get too high because then you have too much overhead. But if you get, I'd say 20-30 feet up, you'll be able to see over this stuff so good. I'm telling y'all, this is where you kill big old deer in here. Let's keep rolling. I've been waiting to find this. You can tell there's a little indention right here. And another one right here. And then another one right there. bear tracks. This would definitely be the place for them. Time to take a break for a moment. Just checking the map again, trying to see what these trees look like on here. Make sure I'm following the same path of what it looks like. It's starting to get to a point now, getting pretty thick again. I don't know if I'm just fading off to a part that it just simply gets thick and stays thick for a while, or if I'm just getting off the area where the most mature trees are at, which is why I'm checking this map. One thing I recommend everybody have, if you watch my video on what's in my pack, is this right here. This is not just a standard water bottle. This water bottle has a filter in it. So I'll fill it up before I left the house. That way, when I'm in here deep like this, if I run out of water, I got this filter on here. Filters out, I think it's like either 10,000 gallons or 100,000 gallons, I can't remember. Regardless, way more gallons than I'm gonna drink out of here. But I can fill it up here in this swamp. Not really the water I want to use, but I know if I get to that point, I can get that water in here and at least have confidence that some of the bad stuff is getting taken out. And then we've got some cashews with almonds in there. Have a little something to eat while we're sitting taking a rest for a moment. Here's another piece of advice for y'all. When you're going in somewhere, you're not going to put any marking tape up or anything to find your way back out when you're scouting something like this. Do this here. Use your machete. Chop the side that you'll be looking at when you're coming back out, so that way you can have that as a marker. Granted, we got our phones, so if you use your phone for your maps or anything like that, you'll be alright. But wanting to stay on your same trail without putting tape up or anything, it's the way to do it. Put some little marks in trees so you can see them clearly and make your way back out. One thing for certain, we got our steps in today walking through this swamp. I know there's going to be some daggum bucks in that thing. I'm so confident of it. But daggum just can't get far in there. I want to get much further in than what I was to feel more confident about getting set up in there. But we may just have to take what we can get, which was about 200 yards in from what my trail marked, at least on my phone. But I wanted to get more so like 400 or 500 yards in at least. But we might just have to take what we can get, give it a try, and see how it goes for us. Regardless, it was a good exploring time. I am ready now to get back home and get some lunch. That is for certain.